Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Etcetera with the Woodards. I'm your host for the evening, Craig Woodard Sr. This is episode 20, and we are going live on Facebook right here. We are also recording on Restream for our podcast on the YouTube channel, Etcetera with the Woodards. You can always go back and catch that after I upload it to YouTube, or you can check out Facebook. I appreciate everybody that's joining in, and this is a little different. This is episode 20. This is a special episode for me. It's the first time that I actually have a guest, and we are still looking for answers. Justice for Cello. Justice for Cello. And I have a super special guest. The first one that I'm adding on the show on episode 20 is my cousin Deonte Cooley. Deonte, thank you for joining the show today, cuz.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me. And we appreciate everything that you're doing from where you are to continue to raise awareness. We need this to go viral. You know, we need to be nationally known as far as like the things that we're working for, the things we're working toward. That we need to bring justice to Marchello. So I appreciate you still being actively involved with what we have going on here in Erie, even though you're away.
Yeah, it's tough for those of you that don't know. There's a lot of viewers from Erie. There's a lot of viewers from all over. We want to kind of start from square one and introduce exactly the situation, the story. I am hailing from Tampa Bay, Florida. I am a Erie, Pennsylvania resident. Grew up there. Went to high school there. Played college football there. Played for the Erie Invaders. Worked at Erie News Now, which was formerly WICU 12. So I have a staple in the community, and my family, many family members, including my cousin Deonte Cooley, still live in Erie. So it is still hometown for me as well. So what we want to do is we want to start from the beginning. July 2nd, I'll tell the story of what happened to my cousin Marchello Woodard. On July 2nd, a little after 10 o'clock, he was sitting in the car with two individuals, and he was visited by two parole agents. Um, you know, they came up to the car. This is basically kind of what the state is saying because we still need more answers. But bottom line is he was shot and killed in the car. There's video that we do have, and the state police, the parole board, are saying something different. They're trying to paint a narrative that is not true. Deonte, can you kind of fill in a little bit of the blanks as far as what the state's position is based on really the only statement that they've sent us?
I mean, so basically, from the statement that was received, it doesn't really seem like much is going on. Hold on, is my mic all right? I might have to turn it off and just use my. We
Yeah,
good?
you good? Yep.
All right. So yeah, pretty much like for the information that the state released, if we're gonna go off official information that's being shared, we really have much of nothing to go off of. You know what I mean? Because they're not releasing anything. They're just pretty much saying it's being investigated. No names have been released. No incident reports or nothing like that. But to go back to what you said, was one person in the car with him at the time, and it was his He's getting a lot of feedback. Yeah, let me just hold on.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go for the laptop.
Yep.
Hope that works.
We apologize, everyone. I know we're doing two things at one time. We're going live on Facebook and we're recording on Restream. So we're going to try to cut back on the echoing a little bit here. Just bear with us.
Let me see. Can you hear me better?
I can hear you good. Yep.
What about those in it?
Those in Facebook land, how does it sound? Can you hear me and can you hear Deonte pretty good without any echoing? Give me some feedback. My wife had chimed in just a little bit ago and said there was some echoing, but okay. Eric said it's good. Eric said it's good. Okay.
Okay, cool. So yeah, no, it was one individual in the car with him, which was his fiance. You know, so she was in the car with him when they pulled up, and she got out to the car where everything was taking place. But yeah, from the information that was being released, it was two parole agents doing a what did they were compliance checks, and they were behind him. From what I saw in the video, they ended up getting behind him, where he visits, but it was not his home, and that's where he was shot and killed. Well, he was shot there and drove, the car rolled off, and he ended up passing away down the road a little further.
And what the state, I believe they said in their statement was that the one of the agents was holding on to the door of the window and he was drugged. Um, so there's where the issue is that they're painting the narrative that Cello was using the vehicle as a weapon. That's
Right.
basically what their original statement is saying. But the Ring doorbell video that we've seen, we see the three shots happen, and there's no vehicles leaving at all, and that part is a problem, for us. Isn't that right, Deontay?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, because when you see it, they're still saying it's an echo. I'm not sure if it's on because we on both or whatever the case may be. But yeah, when you see it, like, and you don't hear any tires screeching, you don't hear any wild noises or crazy noises like that. So it's kind of like, and if he was using the vehicle as a weapon, and the agent went to the hospital, the pictures that we seen, he didn't look scarred up, bruised up, scraped up, or nothing like that. So again, that is what is being reported. As far as I'm assuming from the testimony of the parole agent, but based on the information that they're releasing to us from the public, as far as like state officials, as far as the news and stuff like that, they're leaving us with little bit to next to nothing, and it gives us an opportunity to do nothing but assume.
And of course, I gotta say this as well, since there has not been a conviction yet. All of these are alleged facts. They're
Absolutely.
alleged facts, okay? And this is a discussion that we're having based off of what we have seen and the statement, the original statement that the state has sent out, which is only one. And there's some things that we got to get to the bottom of, and it doesn't make any sense that his fiance was arrested that night
Yes.
and the killer walked home. I mean, how do you feel about that?
So yeah, I had spent some time having a conversation with her. And when she told me exactly how things played out, it was uh it was crazy to me. You know what I mean? Because like she said, she was handcuffed,
Yeah.
and then she was taken to the Erie police station. And then when she got to the Erie police station, she was put in a holding cell. They took pictures of her. And then from the Erie police station, the Erie police department held her until the state police came and got her. Then while the state police came and got her, oh, they took her to the barracks. So they took her to the barracks, and while they had her at the barracks, they were getting information to try to raid her house. So she's there, and they're like, "Hey, we're coming to your house. Give somebody some permission to open the door," because she wasn't home. They're banging on the door. By the time she gets out and gets released, she gets home. The police are leaving out of her property, and they raided her apartment looking for what appeared to be a black bag and a Ross bag that she was taking out of the vehicle. But she wasn't no rights or anything. She wasn't read her rights or nothing like that. She was terrified, panicked, didn't have opportunity to have counsel in front of her, nothing like that. It was a situation to where, like, I don't know what's going on. My fiance was just killed. The police tell me that I have to go, so I have to go. And it was just like confusing from conversations that I've had. It was traumatic. It was, to me, it wasn't okay. It was completely unacceptable, especially like the situation that took place. She had no opportunity for any representation. She was afraid. And then to have your fiance just be killed, and then to have to go with the authorities when you're not sure of who did what, and there's no information a release to actually like be like, okay, now I have to go with these people who I believe may or may not have done this thing. I think it's echoing because we on both Facebook and
Yeah, I think so. Let me mute the laptop and see if that's better. Is that better, guys out there? Is that not echoing as bad? Let me know. Um, you said something that is very confusing to me. Ron says there was no need to kill an innocent man just because you, as an officer, decided to hang on while someone is driving. I agree. Eric, thank you. Yep. Okay, the audio is doing well, Deontay. So we'll keep it like this. So you said something that means a lot to me here. the person that was in the car with him when he got shot,
No. So she wasn't
she
in
was
the. She
put in
wasn't in the.
handcuffs.
She wasn't in the car when he got shot.
Wasn't in the car
So
when he
yeah,
got shot.
she was getting out of the car. She was walking to her porch, and then she heard the shots, and she was like, "What was that?"
Gotcha, gotcha. And then she was detained all night as they raided her house looking for some black bag, right? Um, but yet there has not been an arrest from the shooter.
No, there has not been. There has not been a name. We don't. So there are people who are aware of who his parole agent is. There are
Yeah,
people who are connected to who know. So people are saying this was the person. People are identifying it from the video that they've seen, from conversations that have been had. But there has yet to be a public statement as far as who fired the gun that killed Marchello Woodard.
right, right. A lot of questions, man, and the fact that they have not released the names or name of the shooter is what leaves us perplexed. You know, the media can only go by what statements are put out there, what official statements are released. They can't go by the hood statements. They can't go by word of mouth. There's legalities, there's lawsuits, there's all kinds of different things that can happen. And people are wondering, just to answer your question, people are wondering, why isn't the media doing more? Why isn't this happening? Why isn't that happening? We only have limited information to go by. And that's the problem. And that's why everybody is upset. I'm going to read a comment from Omar. Omar Beeson said, doesn't add up. If he's getting dragged, he has time to pull his gun, pull the trigger while holding on, but he got shot in the chest. My wife also has a question here, Deonte. Question: was the female aware that the parole officer was at the car when she was walking away? Do we know that? Did she say anything about that?
So yeah, she was walking away. That's why she was walking away. She just assumed, like it's his parole agent. There's never been
Check in.
any issues with them.
Right.
They he's maxing out in 2 weeks. I see his parole agent. She knows who the parole agent is. I'm just okay. Let me just go into the house and take care of my business.
Right.
You know what I mean? So as she's going up her porch, she
Yep.
hears gunshots, and she's like, "Whoa, what was that?" And then somebody in the street was like, "That was the police," because after the shots went, the car rolled down the street, and you could see the way the car was moving. It was not fleeing. He was injured. Like, well, again, this is speculate. I'm
Right.
under the impression that the way the car moved, he was injured from the shots,
Right.
and she wasn't aware of what took place until she was informed. And then after that, it was like, okay, come with me to jail. Well, not to
Right.
jail, come to be detained.
Um, it's it's disappointing that this has come to. We have done some research. I believe now this is the first case in the state of Pennsylvania where a parolee was shot by a parole agent, and I believe the second case in the country where a parolee was shot by a parole agent. And this story needs some legs. It needs to go nationwide. And the reason why it hasn't is because we haven't had many facts from the state at all. They are delaying, they are delaying, they are delaying. Now, we talked about what happened. The ring video that we saw shows differently. There was no vehicle moving in the video until after the gunshots happened. So they're trying to give a narrative that they were using the car as a weapon and he was being dragged. But the vehicle wasn't moving when the shots went off. Um, I believe that is one reason why they're delaying this thing, because they don't know where to go. And that original statement has been said already. Like, what are your thoughts on that, D?
Um, yeah. So based on what I did see, I didn't see a vehicle being used as a weapon. Based on what I've heard as far as where he was shot at and where the bullets hit him,
Yeah,
I can't see anybody being able to be drug and land those shots right where they were landed. I'm
right.
not saying that it's not possible to let some shots off, but when you're shooting a person center mass,
You know what I mean? Like, how is the car being? I could see if you were standing in front of the car and the car was coming at you.
Correct.
And then to say that you're being drugged by the car, I'm not exactly sure which hand he was holding on to the car with to be able to, again, let those shots go. And then on top of that, if the car was being used as deadly force when he went to the hospital, why was it like there was no injury sustained that he went right back to work based on the
Yes.
statement that was released? He was on administrative duty. Everybody thought it was administrative leave. It was administrative duty. So
Yeah.
if I'm being drugged by a car, I'm not going right back to work. If I
No.
just shot and killed a man, I'm not going back to work. So I'm not
No.
exactly sure how. I mean, that's just like we're gonna use that as a defense because that's all we have. Because when they
Yep.
searched the house, they didn't find anything. From what
Right.
I was told, I'm not sure how true it is. His house was also searched after he was dead, to the point now to where like when you're searching people's houses of a dead man, who are you looking to charge?
Exactly.
So we're not looking to charge anybody. We're looking to clean up a mess and justify a behavior of one of our agents who made a mistake that could cause him, that can cause the department. It can also cause the state some serious, serious issues in the event that it's understood that this was a negligent act. Marcello was wrongfully killed, and
Yep.
there's no evidence of Marcello having any guns on him or committing any crimes or any acts of violence. Like he was 2 weeks away from parole, and I'm thinking, again, this is me speculating or assuming, is like
Hmm.
if he's that bad of a guy to where when you're coming to approach him, you have to have a gun with you. Why would he not just be incarcerated until he maxes out of parole?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like how do you have a parolee who's 2 weeks away and you feel like he's this much of a threat to society that
Right.
when you approach him, you have to have your gun ready? Because again, the video wasn't clear, but it looked like from what I was told, the first parole agent that come to the car was not Marcello's parole agent.
Right.
So you look and you see a different agent, like, whoa, what's going on?
Yep.
So when he turned around and he looks at and this is again speculation, but you don't see the lights come on until the other parole agent gets out the car and it looks like he has something in his hand.
Yes.
So if you're sitting in your vehicle and the car is not in park, because his girlfriend did say his car was not in park, he confirmed she was in the car. So if
Yeah.
the car is not in park, and then you see what appears to be your parole agent walking up to your car with a gun in his hand,
Yep.
whoa, what is you doing?
Yeah.
And his foot may have come off the brake, which would cause the car to move and the shots to be fired. Even if they say it was simultaneous and you couldn't
Right.
tell,
Right.
why is my parole agent approaching me with a gun? And then second of all, a parole agent is not a police officer. So they're not trained to kill. So if you're holding on to a vehicle as a parole agent and the vehicle is moving, the instinct is to let the vehicle go, report, and call the police for backup or support. It is not to fire your gun. So for you to be able to, in that instant, shoot and kill somebody,
Yeah.
it has to show that there was some type of intent or some type of something. Because again, if he's about to max out in 2 weeks and you feel as though he's a threat, why was he not in jail already? And then on
Correct.
top of that, if you're holding onto the vehicle and the vehicle pulls you and then you can get your gun out to let a shot off, like when do parole agents quick draw McGraw? And then
Yeah.
the police were in the area to get him 2 blocks away, correct?
Right.
So if that's the case, and if you have connections with the police, when that vehicle pulled off, the first thing he should have done was called for the police. This is agent, whatever his name was. We have a vehicle fleeing, heading west on 27th Street, crossing Parade Street. And as quick as the police had got there,
Yep.
the police would have been able to catch him at that next corner if he was fleeing. But if a man is approaching me with a gun in his hand, I'm telling you, if I don't have a gun in my car, I'm pulling my car off too, because I would rather live to tell about it than to have to be in a situation where people are begging for justice for me. And that's just my
Hence,
opinion about the whole situation.
absolutely, and hence the reason why this is the first time that a parole officer has shot and killed a parolee in the state of Pennsylvania. This he did not follow protocol, in my opinion. He did not. They're not trained for this, and this is exactly what happened. And the people of the city of Erie and the family, the Woodard family, my family, we deserve answers. They have not said anything. We don't even know officially who shot and killed him because they won't tell us. What are you waiting for? What are you investigating?
That's what I
How
was
are
going to
you
say as well.
investigating the shooter if the shooter is still at work? You know where he's at, and there's another standpoint that I know you and a few others in the neighborhood have heard other parolees. They're scared to death because this gentleman, loosely I say that, is still at work, and these parolees have to go see him in the office. They're
Right.
scared to death.
Absolutely. There are people who are saying that, like, people are reaching out to some of the guys, like, yo, well, what are we supposed to do? I've seen posts on Facebook, like, has anybody got their parole agent changed? Because again, like, a man was shot and killed by his parole agent. There are people who are on parole who are doing the right thing. They're going to work. They're changing their lives. They're taking their steps in the right direction. All to have to worry about when a compliance check happens that I might die that day. You know what I mean? Like, even if I'm doing the right thing, you hold me to the standard of what I was incarcerated for. If that was the case, then keep me in jail. But again, there's protocols to release somebody from jail. And then when you go to see your parole agent, there's checks and balances. And if you're not doing the right thing, there's options like halfway houses. There's options like rehab. There's options like the county jail. There's options like going directly back to the state prison, and you can max out. So when you're under state supervision, there are options, and the option is never to be killed. And I'm not exactly sure if they have any type of moving, moving object target practice.
Mhm.
Because if this car is moving and you're being drugged, and you
Yeah.
can shoot to kill and
Yeah.
get them in the spots where, I would like to know what type of training that is.
Yeah, really, really. Um, Couple of facts. I know what the next step is. Obviously, they are prolonging this public statements. No press conferences. One press release. That's all we got because they're truly scrambling. But I have a feeling that what's going to happen next is that they are going to try to assassinate my cousin's character, right? So he's my cousin. He has the same blood running in his veins. He did. Unfortunately, they stole that from our family. But my cousin wasn't perfect. He had a past. He did some things that were not good. He broke the law. He was on parole for those things. But check this out. This past Friday, he was going to be off parole. This past Friday, he was ready to turn a new leaf and really improve his life, spend time with his family, travel out of town that he would be able to do at that particular point. And he would have been 44 years old this Tuesday on the 22nd. And all of that has been stolen from him based off of what has gone on. And there have been no arrests made in Erie, Pennsylvania. And the Erie community is fed up and we want answers. This is simply ridiculous. You have a guy that had a checkered past and he knows it and we all know it. He was a parolee. We know he had a past. So you can't now come out and assassinate my cousin's character based off of his past because I already did it. We already know what he's been through. But we unfortunately cannot see what he was going to do when he changed his life on the 18th, which was this past Friday. Y'all stole that from us and you stole this from his children. And you need to be ashamed of yourself. Plain and simple.
Absolutely. I agree with that statement wholeheartedly because, again, like, it seems as though that's going to be the attempt to be the narrative. But like you said, you can't throw my past in my face if I've already been judged and charged for it. You know what I mean? And then if anybody was to look him up, I believe his page is public. You can see the transition through, we're big on social media. So, everybody's doing a social media thing. You can see his transition, as far as which direction he was going. At the funeral, you see his children crying in tears. You see how all the love and stuff like that, and even in the community in the neighborhood, like nobody would have expected anything of this manner to happen to him like that, because that wasn't his style. You know what I mean? That
Right.
wasn't his thing. Like Cello was a loving dude. He was a giving dude. Like anytime he was around, the vibes were always good. You know what I mean? Like it was just always a fun time. And then, like I said, people talking about him, they speak of him very highly. So to try to take advantage of somebody having a history to create a narrative is disgusting to me. Especially
Yeah.
again when if he was that bad of a person, your parole agent could keep you incarcerated if you are a violent offender or if you have multiple violations. They have every right to lock you up and put you in jail. And based on conversations that I've had with people who knew him personally to know the relationship he had with his parole agent,
Yeah.
they didn't even have a relationship to where it was like a problem where he was giving him hell or nothing like that, to the point to where why would you ever think for 1 second like I have to shoot this man because he wants to harm me? So at the end of the day, if the goal is to create a narrative that he was a bad person and he deserved all of this, then they would just have to look over his case file and say, well, hey, if that was the case, why didn't you incarcerate him? Why didn't you violate him? What, right or wrong? Like it's unethical practice to leave somebody on the street who's causing those type of problems,
Right.
but then to kill somebody and then to go back and say, okay, now let's look into his history. Okay, now let's raid his house. Okay, now let's assassinate his character. The man
Yeah.
isn't even here to defend himself, and like you said, we will never be able to know what his plans were because he was robbed of his life. He was maxing out a parole 4 days before his birthday. He just proposed to his then girlfriend, who is now his fiance. Um, and again, just being in the neighborhood, you never heard nobody like Cello did X, Y, and Z, or I can't wait to see Cello because I want to fight him, or not. Like I don't think people fought Cello. People didn't have problems with Cello. People didn't have beef with Cello. He made some decisions that
Yeah.
that caused him to be incarcerated. He went to jail. He did his time. He stood 10 toes. When he did his time, he came home, and when he came home, it was love. Like even when Cello got out of jail, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Cello home. It's gonna be." You know what I mean? Get with his kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he get with his girl. And he's spending time with his family and all of that stuff. And you spend enough time on the streets to understand that, okay, I'm tired of having to go back and forth. So I'm gonna do with the right thing moving forward. I'm gonna find me a woman. I'm gonna get right with my kids. I'm gonna work on building a relationship with my family. And then what
Yeah.
I'm gonna do is, when I max out a parole, like, okay, let's talk about the business plan. How we gonna me and him and his fiance, like how am I gonna empower my woman to be a better man? How am I going to empower my woman for us to have a relationship? How am I going to reconnect with my children and my family? So all of the past stuff, like we all have a past. And I worked in a state correctional institute for 7.5 years. I had lawyers on my caseload. I had doctors on my caseload. I had previous correction officers on my caseload. And
Mhm.
anybody who consumes alcohol can make a mistake and have a parole number. Anybody who's drinking alcohol can make a mistake and have to go to state prison. Anybody who makes a decision based off their emotions could cost them an opportunity to where they're on state parole. So we're not even going to use the state parole narrative as he deserved to or he did not deserve to. If anything, we can say, well, as him being on state parole, he needed some assistance from a professional, and the assistance that he needed was not for him to die, was for help him continue his transition as he was showing through his social media, as he was showing through his presence in the community, and as he was showing with the relationship with the people that he was building. So I mean, I could have been on state parole, bro. Everybody has a past. We all have been in situations, but at the end of the day, you don't get to kill somebody because of who they once were and then justify it. And then, like,
Right.
this guy even have a heart? Like, he has yet to make a statement. And I remember,
Yeah.
not to be comparing the two, like, they came hard on Man Beeson. Like, they was like, oh, he wasn't remorseful when he had the accident with the firefighter.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't do enough. He didn't seem like he cared. The only time he acted like he cared when it was time to go to court. Like, why hasn't this parole agent even said anything? Like,
Yeah.
we technically do not know who shot the gun. They have not released the name.
Yep.
We do not know who. It was two officers. Which one fired the gun? What was the plan of action? What did they do? What did the rest of that look like? But now we know Cello's background because now that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Now we know that the house got raided. Now we know we don't even know what they're investigating. So, and I've been telling people this too. Are they investigating Cello?
Right.
And is that why they're not saying his name? Are they investigating us who are seeking justice for his name? Is that why they're not saying his name? Because they want to know who are all the people who are vouching for him? Are they investigating the parole officer? Are they investigating the parole office? Are they investigating the state of Pennsylvania? Who is doing the investigation? They've left us with so many unanswered questions.
It's crazy. It really is. I want to read a comment from Michelle Dovashaw. She said the key factor in whether a parole officer can pull someone over or conduct a search is reasonable suspicion, not just a hunch. You cannot pull over if you do not have reasonable suspicion of a parole violation. And I agree with that 100%. We want answers. I want to touch on this really quick as well. No one tonight, you haven't heard Deonte or myself say anything about race. We haven't said anything about race. Now, we know that is the given, right? The parole officers, the two parole officers that the state has not named, they both are white. My cousin is black, right? It could be one of those situations, and it is one of those unfortunate situations. But this situation had nothing to do with race. How it's being handled, now that's a different story. I really think that that's a different story, because if it was a black guy that killed a white guy, the black dude would have been under the jail right now. We know that to be true.
Absolutely.
We know that to be true. So it is about race, but it isn't, because that is not what our message is about. Our message is about we want justice for Cello, and it looks a few different ways. We ask ourselves, what does that look like? Justice for Cello. Well, number one, an indictment. Number two, an arrest. Number three, a conviction. And there's a whole bunch of other numbers after that can occur down the line, right? So what we have been doing, because the torch has been passed from some of our elders, me and my cousin Cliff Crosby were talking about, his role at the city council meeting on Wednesday. And I said, hey, we were looking for back in the day some of our elders to come and speak on our behalf and to rally things up. Our elders are now mentors. We now are the elders. We're the ones that are doing the legwork and being the mouthpieces right now. And we have a group that's well equipped to do that. And Deonte, you're one of them. And I want to transition to the city council meeting that we just had this past Wednesday in Erie. And there were some fireworks at the city council meeting. Now, we knew going into that meeting, because we have our group chat that we talk about strategies and what's the next step. This is not an Erie City thing. The city officials can't do anything in their control to do anything about what's going on right now. However, they can use their influence to push the narrative for us. They can help us. And that is the reason why so many people showed up at the Erie City Council meeting. And Deonte, you were very pivotal in your speech. I want you to give me an assessment of what you thought the meeting, how you thought the meeting went, and then talk about your dialogue. You had a dialogue that was unbelievable with not only the Erie City Council President, Mel Witherspoon, who we all respect and love. Spoon has been, he was one of our elders. He's one of those ones that wanted to keep people off the street. I grew up playing ball at Spoon's Court. I was in the league. Everybody went to Spoon's Court, and Spoon has put in his time. However, we as younger folks, the elders now, when we're not satisfied with something, we need to speak up to those whoever's in charge. And there's a couple other city council members that you had some dialogue with. I want you to talk about your impression of the meeting and get into what your message was, because it was extremely powerful.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you cleared that up, because it sounds like when I get out here on 230. But yeah, I'm glad that you cleared that up because like that was it. Like it was not the goal was not to go in there to attack anybody. The goal was not to go in there and to make anybody feel less than or even to be disrespectful. And in my opinion, I didn't disrespect anybody. I know how to be disrespectful. I know how not to be disrespectful. The goal was, like you said, can we get more support because everybody knows what's going on and not enough people are speaking up. So the goal was to go in there and to lean on them and their connections because everybody has lunch together. You know what I mean? Like I've learned the rules. You know what I mean? I learned how things work. So everybody in the city of Erie who's in a position of power or a position of authority are friends. Even when the DA is going against a different attorney, like everybody's friends. So the goal was to go in there and to let them know, hey, we need you guys' help making some noise because we are confused. We're not receiving any answers, and it's getting to the point to where people are getting mixed messages, and it's about to get crazy. So more or less, how can we rely on our elected officials to give us some type of guidance, to give us some type of insight, and as well as to use their voices because one person can't do everything, but a lot of us can do something.
Yeah.
So then, like, through my exchange that I had with Mr. Witherspoon, like, again, it was not to disrespect him by any means. I stood there respectfully. He banged the gavel while Kennedy was talking. Kennedy finished up, and then Mr. Witherspoon, he said what he had to say.
Yeah.
And mind you, after he spoke and said everything he had to say, he then said to me, okay, young man, you can speak. And that's when I said what I said. Like, okay, now that it is my turn, because I understand the way things work down here,
Right.
I don't like the threat that you just made because that's not how it works here. And I sat in the meeting before, and I actually came down there and spoke at the meeting when everybody with the MAGA movement, when they came down there after Jasmine, they was loud. I actually spoke to the mic, and I told those people I was disgusted with their behavior. And I spoke on their behalf. I spoke on her behalf as far as like him attacking her.
Yeah.
Nobody had a problem with how those people were talking to Mel Witherspoon then. Nobody felt like, oh, it was being disrespectful to come down there. But it's like, when I go down there, and I'm speaking up for our brothers, you know what I mean, for our community, it's because it needs to be said and it needed to be heard. You know what I mean? So when I went in there and I said what I had to say, I used the rules in my favor as they used the rules against us. I said what I had to say, and I spoke my mind, and I spoke my piece in regard to we need some type of help. We need y'all to use our voices. We need y'all to be present because, again, you can find us when you need our votes. You know what I mean? You can knock on our doors, and you know what I mean? And you can host events in our places, and you can reach who we have, the quote-unquote black leaders in the community. They can say, okay, well, can you get your people to register to vote because we need the black vote. We need black people to come out. Then we have people who are sitting on council who act like they're so for us, but then when something does actually happen to us, the support is little to not there. And I was saying this, like, if I was talking to different people, like, if Brenton Davis were to post a status right now and say, we're going to sell the Erie County Library to Gannon University, the whole city will go crazy. If Dan Laughlin were to say, don't vote for Jasmine Flores because X, Y, and Z, she would have time and energy to go crazy on him. We've seen them talk about Trump on the internet. We've seen our elected officials talk about each other. We've seen the Republicans antagonize the Democrats antagonize the Republicans over small, simple issues. When it's an issue such as this, and, oh, well, we can't speak, or we don't know what to do, or we don't know who to talk to. But again, let Brenton Davis say, hey, guys, library is being sold to Gannon University. First of all, it's going to be a protest. There's going to be a bunch of older ladies standing out there in the corner with their signs. Then the county council meeting is going to be packed.
Yeah.
And then the city council meeting is going to be packed. And his phone is going to go crazy. But somebody in our neighborhood was shot to death and killed, and people have an issue with the way the city council meeting went. Unfortunately, to me, I could care less who has what to say about what took place. I think it was good, and I feel like we got a response. I don't care which way it went, which way the story was spun. They know that we came down there. The DA is aware. Every single person is aware. The governor is aware. And that's just the beginning. Like you said, being more strategic and more tactful. Like, Harrisburg might be the next trip. And I done made some phone calls and sent some messages. So it's going to get to the point to where, like, we're going to do all that we can until we've exhausted all of our options to get justice for Marchello.
And I want to also add this for everybody that is watching and everyone that will watch this particular podcast. And the message from the Woodard family is we want things to be handled professionally. We want things to be handled passionately. We don't want people holding up F the police signs. We don't want anything that's disrespectful. We know where everyone's heart is, but we have to stay the course. Malcolm Pulliam said, the dogs are barking, and we don't know how long we can keep them in the cage. We got to keep these people in the cage for quite some time because this is a marathon, not a sprint. And this is going to take some time. And we've talked about this as well. So, I want to say thank you to a lot of people in the city of Erie that have been spreading the word, that have come out to all of the protests and that continue to support my cousin Cello and the family. You guys are fantastic, and we have a long way to go. I wanted to read a comment here from Charles and Tammy Powell. It says, you have an eyewitness that saw the whole incident. Robert Richmond Jr. was there passing by. Talk to him. He's probably going to be one of the star witnesses when if this thing goes to court, and that is what we hope. So let me just pass this message on to the community as well. This is not the time to be silent. This is not the time to be silent. If we want change, we have to make change happen. And the only way that change can happen is based off of what Deonte said earlier. There's power in numbers. And when we all come together and we have the same message, they have to listen to us. They have to. So if there's anybody else, and Robert Richmond Jr., I would appreciate if you can stand up and speak your message and speak your truth, and whoever else that saw what happened so that we can bring justice to Cello. That is what we need to do. I need everybody to hashtag whatever post that you have, hashtag justice for Cello. I need you guys to share this video and all of the other videos that we're doing. Share those videos on your page because we got to give this thing some legs so that it can go national. And if it goes national, then when it's nationwide, those big networks put pressure on the locals, and then they have to come out and say something to us.
And here's another thing too that I want to speak to, right? So I know this is very cliche, but when you say strength in numbers, like learning politics and stuff like that, I believe, this is just an opinion, I believe that we are being treated the way we are being treated by the elected officials because statistically, we don't vote.
Yeah.
We don't register to vote. So when they say, oh, the black voter, there are people who want to do something, who want to say something. But it's like, if I go against the grain of the registered voters, of the people who actually come out, and because you can check anybody's voter score. You can look a person up, you can see when they register. You can't see who they voted for, but they have a voter registration score. You have a voter score. So if you look at the people's names, and if you scroll like this is what the elected officials do, they'll go right to it. Before they even go respond to your comments, they'll see if you're a registered voter. It's like, oh, I ain't even trying to entertain that. Your voice doesn't matter. So like, and what I said to people was, imagine if the next time we went to the courthouse, we went near, instead of standing outside, we went inside. We made a line wrapped around the building. Everybody's here registered to vote. And we're learning our candidates, and we're educating ourselves on our candidates. Like, that is important. I think a lot of people don't understand that. And then another thing that I said, and I'll go on record to say, anybody who's able and eligible to get a license to carry a concealed weapon should go to the court. You can do it online.
Right.
I would say, let's go to the courthouse. Let's have a line up the stairs at the door at the sheriff's office and let them know, okay, we're going to get registered. We're going to register to vote.
Yep.
And we're going to register to carry concealed, because at the end of the day, like, we all have rights. And I think once they start realizing that we understand our constitutional rights and we're going to use them to our advantage, then that's when they'll be a little bit more afraid of us. But it's difficult to get that message along or across because we statistically feel like our vote doesn't matter, our voice doesn't matter. And a lot of the stuff that I'm saying is very cliche, but it is literally playing out right in our face that anybody who feels like what I'm talking about isn't real, just think about the last time you registered to vote. Think
Yep.
about the last time you voted, and then
Right.
realize why people aren't taking you seriously. And then another thing, with it being election time, it's about to be the general election in November. So that
Yeah.
means a lot of people are starting to have their events. They're starting to have their fundraisers. So if we want the elected officials to see us, then we need to start standing outside. We're protesting. When they talk about protesting, maybe we need to protest outside of fundraisers where all the who's are going to be there. Or maybe we even need to buy a ticket and go to some of these fundraisers and go in there and let the people know, listen, don't stand in front of us and tell us what you're going to do for us because we need help right now. And there
Yeah.
are people who are working to get elected who have been more vocal and more present than the people who actually are elected. And I'm saying this based on the knowledge and the information that I obtained over the course of the last 3 months running. And it might have been a blessing in disguise that I didn't get the election, but I'm telling you, from being able to have those relationships, to have those conversations with people, and to learn how elected officials think and how people who are running for seats think, you're not considered if you're not registered to vote. They'll pull your. It says you can go right to the PA voter registration site, put somebody's name, birthday, their name and their address in, and their whole score comes up. So it's like, okay, I'm listening to. Let's say we're 150 people deep at a protest, and only 20 of us are registered to vote. Yeah, but the people who are anti and the people who are on the other side who are calling elected officials and being like, hey, bro, you might want to stay away from this because the people in District 5, they don't like it. District 5 and District 6 is them districts. You lose. That's how I lost. You lose
Yep.
District 5 and District 6, it's a wrap. So what elected official really wants to put their name on the line, their reputation on the line for people who aren't registered to vote, for people who don't come out to vote, because what they feel like is, why would I help you? You do not help me. So I would encourage everybody to register to vote, and then to actually vote in November, and then anybody who's eligible to be able to get your carry a concealed firearm license, I would encourage you to do so. We about to have some self defense trainings going on up here.
Yep.
I've been in contact with. Well, it was a small interaction, but I plan on reaching out
Yeah.
as far as like the firearms training and stuff like that, because like this is real, and in other places people do it. So this is not me talking radical. This is not me trying to assimilate an army or nothing like that. But I will say, you need to know how to defend yourself. You need to be able to protect yourself. You need to be ready. You need to be physically fit. You need to be mentally strong. And then if it comes down to it and you can't handle yourself with your hands, you need to exercise your Second Amendment right. You have the right to bear arms. And I'm not telling anybody to do anything violent. What I'm doing is encouraging people to be registered to vote, to exercise your rights to carry a conceal, and to protect yourself at all times, because that's typically what happens in those households or those families of people who are registered voters and those people who are educated on gun safety. Everything that I'm talking about is the things that they do. But because I'm a man of color, it
Yeah.
might be frowned upon. But we done walking around ignorant. We can't keep just acting rowdy with no foundation, no background. Because I would even say this, like, it's people out there who saying, let's go at the police. And I asked a couple of people, like, are you physically fit to fight for 30 minutes straight?
Yep.
Do you know how to handle it? Because we talking about people who train regularly.
Yeah.
These ain't the same police officers from the 60s and the 70s. These dudes is in the
Right.
gym. Some of these dudes is taking steroids. These dudes
Yep.
at the gun range and all of that. So for the people who are screaming, let's go at them and let's be crazy, like, I would pose that question. Are you physically fit to last that fight in that battle, and is your army strong enough? And if it's not, prepare yourself one of two ways. But at this point, man, we can't keep letting people play with us because we're not registered to vote and because we're not voting, and they're going to treat us like we don't matter. So that's my little spiel on the whole your civic duty, because that's what we need to be doing.
I second that, cuz. And my take on that is, you all have a duty to register to vote. You have a duty to register to vote. Our ancestors went through hell to give us this freedom and give us this opportunity to be able to vote for somebody that we want to be our elected official. And this man right here, Deonte Cooley, needs to be elected as well. And he will be running again. And I expect everyone to register to vote and vote for him in the race that he is running. All right. If you like what's going on right now, you like what he stands for, he's one of the people that can be leading us and would have a little power behind him. I encourage all of you parents that have 17-year-olds that are going to be turning 18 here in the end of July and in August and in September and in October. Have your 18-year-old registered to vote. We have a duty to do this. This is how we affect change. They don't expect it to happen from us, people of color, because it hasn't happened. We have to change the narrative. We have to change the mold. And if we do that, we change the future. Okay? Deonte, I want you to take me back at the end of your speech at the city council. You heard, what did that do for you?
So again, like when you learn and you understand. So that was a gesture to provoke me to act out of character.
Right.
Because again, regardless of how I was saying anything that I said, I did not say anything wrong. You know what I mean? So when you're in a position to where it's like, okay, how can I turn this thing off, or how can I get this thing to act out of sorts? It's kind of like one of those, you play football, you push somebody and then they push you, and the ref see the second person and they throw the flag.
Yeah.
So that was more or less like a gesture to provoke me. And I'm not. It could have been to see, like, let's see if he's really ready. If he really to stand on the stage or to stand on this platform. Because being in his position, you got to take that. You know what I mean? You got to take that abuse. And sometimes you don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard people come down there and say horrible things to people at the city council meeting. And it's like, oh, if I could, I would. I want to cuss him out. So that was more or less of a, let me get this dude off his square, and he start acting out of control, because right now he's on point with everything that he's saying.
Right.
And I like, not again, I don't want to make this about the campaign thing, but it was people who were having conversations with me, who were training me as far as like when to react, what not to react. They was even telling me, like, you're gonna be in some places where they're gonna throw that N-word at you just to see how you react. It won't even be a racist person. It might just be somebody to see if you're strong enough to be on their team, if you're strong enough to, deal with it. So I honestly believe, I don't think that was disrespectful in the sense that anybody else who was sitting there may have taken it as disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
That was more or less a gesture to provoke me to see if I would go off of my rocker and then lose control of what I was saying.
Right. They were trying to pull you off your game and make you stand out like everybody else that they assume. They wanted you to act out the way that they assume we act out, and you kept your professionalism. And I was so proud of you. And I shared that video, and I'm like, man, this is what leadership looks like. This is what leadership looks like. We got Cello's birthday coming up on Tuesday. I think they're trying to gather something together right now. Has that been a definitive answer on doing something on his birthday?
I mean, it's not definite. It's probably, we be up all hours of the night having conversations. So it's not nothing definite, but we're definitely going to make sure that we acknowledge his birthday.
Yeah.
We recognize his birthday, and we're going to also make sure that every single person who's been watching this, who's been following this, who's been covering this, is aware that it's Marchello's birthday. And we're going to make sure that everybody who has been saying his name, make sure that we acknowledge his birthday. They need to feel where we're coming from. And it can't just be a small group of us. You know what I mean? It's people in the comment section who are saying things to either speak for or speak for or speak to. And that's what we need. Like, I know people are getting tired. I know people have to go to work. I know people have to raise families and things like that. So we're not asking people to do everything. What we're asking people to do is continue to keep the message alive, continue to keep the mission, which is justice for Cello. And when you can come out, come out. When you can show up, show up. But we all have social media. It doesn't take much time to say justice for Cello. It's not going to take too much time to say happy heavenly birthday to Cello on his birthday. If we do decide, let's say we have another picnic in the corner lot, or even if we say, you know what, we're going to have a protest on his birthday and we want everybody to come out, just like on the 22nd, for every single person who's been following this, for every single person who has had something to say, both good and bad, let's just make sure on the 22nd that we acknowledge this man and we give him his flowers. And we say, again, I mean, I've seen some stuff where people were like, oh, you know, it's people clout chasing. What I would say, if I was in this position, I don't care if you was making $100,000 off saying my name. Please just say my name. I don't care if it's the coolest or the corniest. If y'all gonna be saying my name to bring the awareness, to provoke people to think about what happened to me, say my name. So on Tuesday, I don't want anybody to feel like, oh well, it's not my place to say it, or I didn't know cello like that, or I don't really want to talk about it. Tuesday's the 22nd. I'm looking at my watch, so his birthday is the 22nd. I'm not sure if it's Tuesday or not. If I'm wrong on the date, but the date is the 22nd. So anybody who has paid attention to, if you've liked, if you've disliked, if you commented, if you shared, if you've had a conversation in private about those people are still at it, please on Tuesday make sure that we recognize this man. Make sure that we acknowledge this man. Make sure we giving him his flowers. I want to see his face on my timeline on Tuesday. I want to hear his name, like wherever it takes, like, and we're gonna do it. There's not any, and this is just my opinion. I can't speak for his children. I will never speak for his children. You know what I mean? But what I would like to see is in the most respectful way that July 22nd, we talking about Cello, we mentioning Cello, we want every single person to know how impactful he was to the city, so they can stop dragging their feet and they can bring us some justice, or they can start making some news and making some noise. And like I said, it's gonna get to the point to where we just gonna have to go to Harrisburg with it, like, and exercise all of our options before we exercise all of our options.
Cindy just reminded me too. There was an incident that occurred down in Meadville, 45 miles south of Erie, where a guy was on a motorcycle, I believe, or a bike or something like that, and there was a warrant for his arrest, and the police pulled him over, and they started beating on him and everything. And there's video of that, and there's a lot of movement going on from the police, and the officials at B are making some moves based off of the video that came out. And I really think that the Pennsylvania State Parole Board in Erie County, they need to take a page out of Meadville's book to make something happen. Okay. We've been rolling 57 minutes so far. We've sustained a good crowd here on Facebook. I appreciate everybody that's tuned in. Deonte, I wanted to give you just final thoughts for the people.
Yeah, no, I mean, real quick, I'm gonna speak to what you just mentioned though, and I think that this is going to be a case study for a lot of people. You know, anything that happens in the future, and again, that's when we talking about justice. The list goes long. It goes longer than the conviction and arrest, because this should never happen again. People shouldn't feel like this is going to happen to them. So when things start taking place like this, people are going to make sure, okay, don't be another Erie. Let's not let this be another Cello situation. So it's definitely going to be people who are going to be making sure that they're covering their tracks. So we're not going to give them any kudos for doing their job. But what we would like to do is, since they know how to do their job, maybe we can reach out to them and ask them, can they assist us with getting them to work as how they did. Since you all relied on this case study, since you all relied on this situation to take place for you to make sure that you understand how to report it correctly, can you reach out to the powers that be here? Because again, government is government. Everybody, we all took trips to Harrisburg. You know what I mean? And then when you have, there's candidate support and other candidates from all over the place, so everybody knows everybody. But I mean, what I will say to everybody else is, like, I understand their pain. I don't feel everybody's pain. We all don't have the same pain. But excuse me, we gotta continue to fight the fight. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even want to I'm gonna ask people to stay patient, but you can't tell anybody to be patient. I want everybody to go through their grief process, to get the help that you do need. You know what I mean? To be able to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, and remember that you also have a life. Like, as crazy as it may sound, like, I don't want people overly obsessing over the situation to the point to where they're just waking up, eat, sleep, drink, think, justice for Cello. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want people to feel like, oh, my life is over now because of this. It's more or less like, how do we cope with our lives now that we lost a loved one? And everybody has different coping mechanisms, and everybody's going to grieve in a different process, in a different way, which is why we need some resources to support people. So, I know that there are some mental health professionals who have been watching and who have been following along. I know there are some people who work with people who like know how to speak and know how to communicate, who've been watching and following along. I would ask those people to reach out or to make their services more visible within the community. If it's sharing more on Facebook about grief counseling, if it's sharing more about the services that are available, because there are a lot of people who don't know what to do
Right.
and a lot of people can be impacted by this. And I had a conversation with Bob Mersky, and they said that the legal team is telling them to not speak to this because they don't want to get in any trouble or until the investigation. And my response was, what legal team is representing the people who don't know what to do and are willing to put their lives on the line and their future on the line?
Right.
We, the people, deserve the same legal representation to protect ourselves to deal with the situation, because it is a pending investigation. And it is people who want to go out in the street and act crazy. And nobody's telling them, hey, this is how you do this and this is how you don't. There are people who are out there protesting with signs that say fuck the police because they are angry. But nobody's telling them there's a right way and there's a wrong way. And the people who we vote on and the people who we pick to represent us, to sit in those seats, they aren't speaking to us. We have not heard from the senators. We have not heard from any state representative. I said, even if nobody has even looked us in the face to say, unfortunately, we can't speak to you and allow us to express ourselves, to hear our pain and to feel where we're coming from. Nobody has shown us any consideration. You know what I mean? And again, I'm like, I understand the procedure, but you all will knock on our doors and will come to our house. So what I'm telling everybody is, like, I understand the pain. I understand the frustration. Like, I'm here with you all. I empathize with you all. Please, please, please don't do anything that's going to cause you any physical harm.
Right.
That's going to cause you any legal trouble. That's going to separate you from your family.
Yep.
If you're not ready to do that. Again, I can't tell anybody what to do. There's rewards for your actions and there's consequences for your actions. And everybody needs to think it all the way through and realize what's that risk here. Even for some people who are speaking so vocal about justice for Marchello, like, I hope y'all ready. Some people are putting their careers on the line.
Yeah.
Some people are putting their futures on the line. Some people are putting their livelihoods on the line, you know, all to get justice for Marchello. And I hope they understand that. I understand what the possibilities for me. I understand what can go right, what can go wrong. I also understand what can come from this as far as, like, justice outside of just a conviction and incarceration.
Right.
And I'm signed up for everything. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
again, I'm not telling nobody how to grieve. I'm not telling anybody how to act. I'm not telling anybody what to do. What I will say to you all is, if anybody has any plans on doing something, be ready for the reward, be ready for the consequences. But we all need to be making noise. Every single person lives in the city of Erie. Because again, like you said, we have yet to talk about race. So even if you consider it, right? I was telling this to one of my friends, and I'm like, let's take away the parameters.
Yeah.
Let's take away the names. Let's take away the colors. And let me, and just imagine if I were to be like, yo, a parole agent killed a parolee 2 weeks before he was about to max out.
Let that sink in.
And then once that sink in, then think about the questions that'll be asked. And I'm sure the last thing will be black and white. It'll be like, dang, what'd he do? Why he shoot him? And then if he's like, oh, well, he said he was dragging him with a car. Why didn't he let the car go? Why wasn't he in jail?
Yeah.
2 weeks at max out? Why you think that he would? You know what I mean? Like, if you're about to max out in 2 weeks, I'll take me to jail for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there was nothing that he was doing that would warrant him to want to pull off and be like, oh, I ain't going. Like, it's me.
Right.
You know it's me. You're my parole agent. I know you can lock me up. So it ain't no, it wasn't no situation to which, like, you know what, I'm dying. I ain't going back to jail. I'm gonna rather die. It's only 2 weeks, bro.
Yep.
So again, like, it's a lot, and it's provoking a lot of feelings, and it's provoking a lot of thoughts, and it's even getting to the point to where people are divided. Like, I don't have no issues or no problems with nobody. You know what I mean? As far as, like, the whole, the Mel Witherspoon thing, and Mel's been doing this for years. He has been. Nobody's trying to discredit Mr. Witherspoon for the things he's done for this community. Nobody's trying to take away anything from him, talk bad about him, talk down to him at all. That's not what we're about here. Like, I don't have no problems with nobody. I want all of us to be on the same accord. There needs to be no division within the community when it comes to this. Nobody should have a problem with nobody. And if you do got a problem with somebody, you swallow it or take it up with them on an individual level. Take it up with them. But, like, as far as, like, publicly wanting to do all of this mess, like, yeah, we ain't playing no games, but again, be ready for whatever it is you're signing up for. Understand that there's consequences and rewards. I'm not telling nobody what to do, but I'm also not telling nobody what not to do, because everybody wants to do something.
Excellent parting words, Deonte. I really appreciate you joining me on this episode 20 of Etcetera with the Woodards. If you guys can follow me on Facebook, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel at Etcetera with the Woodards. Subscribe, share, like it. Let's give this thing some legs. I do a podcast every Sunday night live on Facebook, and then I post the recording on Monday evenings. You can check me out. We like to talk about all types of different topics, hence, etc. But the last 3 weeks, this has all been dedicated to my cousin Marchello Woodard and the Justice for Cello campaign that we are running. So please continue to support peacefully. Take a breather. This is going to be a marathon and not a sprint, and we are not going anywhere. We will be advocating and pushing for justice for the long haul, and hopefully we can exert some change here in the future so that this doesn't happen to anybody else going forward. So continue to use the hashtag Justice for Cello. For Deonte Cooley, I'm Craig Woodard Sr. We appreciate you joining us tonight. We'll see you next week.